Hey there, everybody. Welcome. We are in the middle of a series called A Man After God's Own Heart, the life of David in the Bible. And today we're starting Second Samuel. We started the series in First Samuel chapter number 16. This is where David was anointed by by Samuel to be the next king of Israel to replace Saul. And now we worked all the way up through yesterday, part 16, the death of Saul and Jonathan. Now, David is going to learn today in Second Samuel chapter number 1 about their deaths, and we see the breaking of the division of the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel here because it's a whole new era. 1st Samuel is all about Saul and his pursuit of David, David's concern for his own life. Now we're going to see that Saul is dead, Jonathan is dead, and it's a start of a new era. So if you can follow along in your Bible, I encourage you to. Second Samuel chapter number 1. And this chapter is largely going to be a lament of the deaths of Saul and Jonathan, and we learn a lot about the heart of David here. Saul is trying to kill this man. He's pursuing him to his death. He did everything he could, and a couple times even had him cornered, and God had to deliver David. But David is going to say that he's saddened at the loss of his enemy. Doesn't sound right, does it? Let's read. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the third day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul, with his clothes rent, and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. So the tearing of the clothes and the putting of earth on the head is a sign of mourning. And so here comes this man from Saul's camp, and he sees David, and he's in this mournful posture. Then when he sees David, he gets on his hands and knees and gives David honor and respect. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter, I pray thee, tell me. And he answered that the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. This is the first time David's hearing this news that Saul and Jonathan are dead. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? Now there's something really good about that question. Just because someone tells you something doesn't mean that it's true. And we really have to get back to that understanding. Lies and rumor and gossip are put forth often about people, and they just aren't true at all. You need to verify the sources of your information, and if it's even information that you ought to be privy to. There are so many things we involve ourselves in that aren't any of our business. And so David is doing a very wise thing here. Who or how do you know that they're dead? Did you see their bodies? Do you know this? Now, we know from the last chapter of First Samuel that they cut Saul's head off. They put his armor in one Philistine pagan temple. They put his body in another Philistine pagan temple. And then we also know that the Israelites recovered those bodies and then burned them and buried their bones. So some time has passed here, and David's just now getting this news. And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and called unto me, and I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. So if you heard yesterday's devotion, chapter or part number 16 from 1 Samuel 31, you know that none of this is true. Saul fell on his own sword after asking his armor bearer to run him through with his sword. And none of the thing that this guy's saying is true. And this is why we said, David asks him, how do you know Saul and Jonathan are dead? And now he tells him this long story, completely untrue. So let's see what happens. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. And so David does believe that Saul is dead, but watch what's going to happen here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. This man is bragging that I put the king out of his misery. Remember how the armor bearer would not run Saul through with his sword, but then after Saul fell on his own sword, the armor bearer fell on his own sword? Verse 13, David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, notice here, this guy just said, Saul was fallen on his spear, which is not true. He'd fallen on his sword, and I just put him out of his misery. David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy God's anointed? He doesn't need an answer to this question. It's more of a statement than a question. How dare you kill the king, God's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. So one of David's men killed this Amalekite man who claimed to have put Saul out of his misery. I guess you better be careful about the lies that you tell. They may end up getting you killed, huh? And that's what happens to this guy. And the truth is, he wasn't even there. He didn't even do it. But he dies for his lie. He thinks that he's trying to get some clout. He's trying to get some attention. And in the end, it gets him dead. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head. For thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And in reality, he didn't even slay Saul. And David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah to the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. And now the rest of the chapter here, I think there's 29, or sorry, there are 9 more verses to the chapter here. And basically it's going to be this beautiful lament or lamentation, a song, a poem, whatever you'd like to describe it as David makes his mourning and pain known over the lives of Saul and Jonathan. He says, The beauty of Israel is slain upon the high places. How are the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath. Publish it not in the streets of Askelon. Lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. And so that verse there, you don't have to tell your dirty laundry to the whole world. In fact, you don't have to tell your dirty laundry to anyone. Your family, your immediate family, what goes on in your house, that's the business of your family. You don't have to publish it in the streets. You don't have to tell everyone else. And you certainly don't have to tell your enemies about it. Your extended family. You don't have to air the dirty laundry of your family. Your circle of friends. You don't have to tell bad things that have happened to your within your circle of friends to other people. You know, we need to get back to having some conscientious dignity where we don't tell everybody all of the bad and terrible things that are going on. Husbands and wives, they don't need to be telling their circle of friends how badly their wife treats them or how badly their husband treats them. Those types of things don't need to be going on. And this is what David's saying here. Don't let our enemies know that we're mourning the loss of our leader here, lest they triumph, right? You don't want your enemies rejoicing over your misfortune. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew. Let there be, but neither, excuse me, ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul as though he had not been anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle? O Jonathan, thou wast slain in thy high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished. And that's the end of David's lament. But you can see his heart being given there in terms of how he felt about Jonathan and Saul. Again, the man who sought his life, and David loved Saul and praised his name to the end. And that just gives me the last point to bring out here. You know, everyone has negative and poor and bad qualities. You don't have to focus on those qualities, because everyone also has positive and good qualities, helpful qualities. Focus on those. Focus on the good in people, not on the bad in people. We have to deal with the bad, and sometimes for some that seems to be more bad than good. But David chose to see the positive aspects of the life of Saul, and he praised him for it here in his death. All right, that's all that I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.